The Mishomis Book, The Voice of the Ojibwe by Eddie Benton-Banai. Chapter 8, The Seven Grandfathers and the Little Boy. The second people of the earth grew in number and their villages began to spread across the land. But in their early years, the second people had a very hard time. At first, they were a weak people. Diseases took many lives each year. There were many times when people would be killed by just stumbling and falling down. Wainaboju did the best he could to help the Earth's people in their hard life, but it seemed that more help was needed. Ojibwe tradition tells us that there are 7 grandfathers who were given the responsibility by the Creator to watch over the Earth's people. They were powerful spirits. The 7 grandfathers recognized that life was not good for the people. They sent their Oshkabewis, or helper, to the earth to walk among the people and bring back to them a person who could be taught how to live in harmony with the creation. 6 times this spirit messenger went to earth to try and find a person worthy enough to bring back the 7 grandfathers. 6 times the spirit messenger failed. On his 7th journey, the Oshkabewis traveled to each of the 4 directions. The spirit came upon a village of people. He heard the people talking of a baby boy who had just been born to a young couple. The baby was still sucking on his mother's breast for food. The Oshkabewis suddenly realized that this baby was the one he should take to the 7 grandfathers. He was innocent. His mind was untouched by corruption and pain of the world. This baby was still fresh from the Creator's side, where he stayed before he came to his mother's womb. He had not yet opened his eyes and ears to the world. The Oshkabewis found the baby asleep with his parents in a lodge on the outskirts of the village. The baby was in a hand-carved Dikikinogan, or cradle board, wrapped in fine animal skins that were decorated with quills from Gog, the porcupine. His parents and his people must have thought a lot of him. The Oshkabewis left a pouch of tobacco and a piece of the child's clothing behind, to show the people that the baby did not fall victim to some wild animal. The Oshkabewis took the baby boy back to the lodge of the 7 grandfathers. The 7 grandfathers looked upon the sleeping baby. "He is too weak," one said. "He could not stand the sight of us or the sound of our voices. To do so would be fatal to him." One of the grandfathers instructed the Oshkabewis, "Take this boy and show him all the creation. Show him the 4 quarters of the universe." The Oshkabewis took the boy and did as he was instructed. It took a long time to travel so far and teach the boy so much. They traveled completely through all of the Onongoquan, or Star World. Herein lies a lesson for us today. We must begin very early with our children in instructing them in these teachings. Children are born with fully developed senses and are aware of what is happening around them. They can even communicate with the spirit world. Most of us as human beings are so far removed from the spirit world that we cannot tell what an infant is saying. Let us learn from the 7 grandfathers the importance of giving our young children the teachings they will need to guide them in their later lives. The boy was 7 years old when they returned to the lodge of the 7 grandfathers. The grandfathers saw them coming and realized that the boy had grown to be strong with a mind that was sharp and curious about everything around him. As the boy approached the grandfather's lodge, he felt a power stronger than anything he had ever felt before. He looked up at the Oshkabewis and realized that this was his Jishe, or uncle, someone who had taught him how to survive in the world. He realized that his uncle was a son of the Creator. He understood that he, too, was from the Creator's side, as are all people. As the boy came closer to the lodge, a strong fear overcame him. The closer they came, the stronger his fear grew. His uncle, the Oshkabewis, comforted him. As they approached the door of the lodge, a voice rang out, "Have you brought the little boy?" "Yes," the uncle answered. "I have him with me, and he is ready to come inside." With that, the door of the lodge was opened, and inside sat the 7 grandfathers. "Beat again. Come in," they said to the boy and his uncle. As the boy stepped inside, he noticed that the door of the lodge was facing the sun in the west, and that the 7 grandfathers sat in the east. The place his uncle told him was the source of all knowledge. The 7 grandfathers were dressed in very beautiful clothes, and their hair was as white as snow. On their faces was a glow of peace and happiness. The grandfathers talked to the boy in a way that seemed as though they were not talking at all, but using their minds to just think the words. The grandfathers told the boy of how he was taken from his mother and father, and how his parents were expecting him to return someday. The first grandfather pointed to an alkeek, or vessel, that was covered with a cloth made of 4 different colors. Each color stood for one of the 4 directions. The grandfather said, "Of these colors, Musqua, red, stands for the south. Mukaday, or black, stands for the west. Wabishka, white, stands for the north. And Ozawan, yellow, stands for the east. These colors represent the 4 races of man that the Creator placed on the earth." The grandfather pulled the cloth aside and instructed the boy to look inside the vessel. It was a very quick glimpse, but inside the boy saw beauty that he could not understand. He saw colors that had never been seen before. He felt a peace that he had never known before. He saw all of yesterday and all of tomorrow. The vessel was like an opening, and out of it came a music such as the boy had never heard. All that could possibly be imagined flashed before the boy's eyes in just a short moment. The first grandfather reached into the vessel and brought out a substance on his hand. He then reached over and rubbed this substance on the boy. "I give you this gift," he said. Then he passed the vessel to the next grandfather, who also reached inside and rubbed a new and beautiful gift on the boy. The vessel was passed to each of the grandfathers just as the water drum is passed from one person to another in our ceremonies today. Each of the grandfathers gave the boy a gift. When they had finished, the grandfathers instructed the Oshkobewas to find someone to return with the boy to his people. 4 times the Oshkobewas searched the earth without finding anyone. On his 5th try, the Oshkobewas came upon Negig, an otter, playing on the bank of a creek, but the otter would not listen to him. He was too busy playing. The Oshkobewas returned again to Negig and told him of the task that he was needed for, but the otter just yawned and continued playing. On his 7th try, the Oshkobewas convinced the otter to return with him, and they journeyed to the lodge of the 7 grandfathers. The otter received his instructions from the 7 grandfathers and paid attention to each detail. Finally, the otter and the boy set off on their long journey. The boy had been given a huge bundle to take to his people from the 7 grandfathers. Negig and the boy took turns carrying the bundle. Along the way, they stopped 7 times. At each stop, a spirit came and told the boy the meaning of one of the 7 gifts that were given to him out of the vessel of the grandfathers. Number 1, to cherish knowledge is to know wisdom. Number 2, to know love is to know peace. Number 3, to honor all of the creation is to have respect. Number 4, bravery is to face the foe with integrity. Number 5, honesty is facing a situation is to be brave. Number 6, humility is to know yourself as a sacred part of the creation. Number 7, truth is to know all of these things. The spirits taught the boy that for each gift there was an opposite, as evil is the opposite of good. He would have to be careful to instruct his people in the right way to use each gift. Also, at each stop, the boy found a strange kind of small shell sprinkled here and there on the ground. He sensed something special about these shells. He put down tobacco and took a few of them at each stop. For 4 days the boy and the otter stopped at each place, but in the spirit world time cannot be compared to our time on earth. The stops could have lasted even 4 years of time on earth. During this time the boy grew into manhood. He and the otter somehow realized that the next time they would set their burden down, they would be in the land of his people. At last they came upon a large body of water. They could see the people on the other shore. They looked poor and hungry. The otter realized that these people did not have the true Waindanimuk, no Dinun, or the 4 directions, and therefore could not live in harmony with the power that each direction offers. The otter dived into the water and swam to the middle of the lake. There he shouted to the people and told them that he would show them the true 4 directions so that they could live in harmony. The people cheered and watched the otter as he swam to the east and then back to the middle of the lake. He then swam to the south and back to the middle. The otter did this with each of the 4 directions. The otter finally returned to get his friend, who was getting to be an old man by all the time he had seen in the spirit world. He escorted the old man to his people. The old man carried a huge heavy bundle. It was a great power that he was to share with his people. The otter showed the man the way. Then the otter realized that he had finished the task that the 7 grandfathers had asked of him. He said to the old man, "My friend, we have been many places together. We have overcome all obstacles." At this time the otter produced one of the strange shells that were at each of the stopping places, and held it out to the old man. These are very special shells. They are an important gift and will figure into your life at a later time. They represent the shell that the Creator used to blow His breath on the 4 sacred elements and give life to original man. Keep this shell with you always. It is called the Magish shell. I have now done what the grandfathers asked of me. I will continue to serve you if you can follow me. At this, the otter remembered all the playful moments of his past and ran straight up a tall tree and sat in the top laughing at his friend holding the heavy bundle down below. The otter is the one today who accompanies the newcomers into the Medewan Lodge. He accompanies them through only their first degree. Then they must part. Realizing that he must now leave his brother the otter, the old man picked up his bundle and continued to make his way toward the village. On the outskirts of the village, the old man came upon a very old couple. This couple somehow knew that this man with the heavy bundle was their son, even though his hair was white like theirs. The only thing that had kept them alive was the memory of their son and the faith that he would come back. The old man pulled a gift out of his bundle and said to his parents, "I give you this. It represents the power, love, and mercy of the Creator." He continued on to visit and talk with the rest of his people. To the middle of the village he went with his bundle, and all the people followed. At this village's center he stopped and put down his bundle. With all the people gathered around, the old man told them of his journey to the lodge of the 7 grandfathers. He gave the people the 7 gifts that the grandfathers had given him out of the vessel. He told the people of the dangers that came with each gift. He gave them the understanding of opposites. He told them of the way the grandfathers said to live in order to have a strong physical body. He told them that the Nijode, or twin, of physical existence was spiritual existence. In order for the people to be completely healthy, they must seek to develop themselves spiritually and find a balance between the physical and the spiritual worlds. The old man gave the people the avenue to use for this spiritual development. He gave them the Balwaji Gawan, or vision quest. He gave others the capability to seek out the knowledge of the spirit world through fasting, dreaming, and meditation. With the old man's return, the people became better adjusted physically to live on earth. The people had a sense of hope that gave them the strength to face life's daily tasks. No longer did accidents and diseases claim so many lives. With the knowledge of the 4 sacred directions that the otter gave them, and with the gradual use of herbal medicines to treat illnesses, the people approached that delicate balance that lies in living in harmony with all of creation. It only remained now for the people to follow the mechanism or path laid out before them by the old man for the development of the spiritual side of life. That was Chapter 8 of the Mishomis book, The Voice of the Ojibwe by Edward Benton-Banai. Aho.